And folks, we are back for another edition of Behind the Uniform, our series where we go in depth inside what's going on with the athletes behind the uniforms that you see on the field every game day. And have had the great pleasure of having several guys come through already. But man, been anxiously anticipating the sit down with one Mr. Colston Loveland, a freshman standout at the University of Michigan at tight end. And man, based on the way that he debuted in the winged helmet, a lot of expectations about what he's going to be this coming year. He sits down with us on the couches for Behind the Uniform. Colston, how are you?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you guys having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man, glad that you could join us. And I always like to start out going back to the beginning. And yours is pretty unique because I remember when you committed, we had to go into the archives to figure out when was the last guy from Idaho who committed to the University of Michigan. And it was like the early 1900s, something like that. It was a long, long time ago. So to go from that stage to the Michigan stage is a big jump. When did you start to realize, talent-wise, that, you know what, the stage in Idaho was big and a challenge, but there was a bigger stage ahead of you down the line?
Yeah, I would say about probably like sophomore year of high school. That's when I really knew, like, because I always took football serious, like ever since I started playing, but I never really knew that I could play at the next level, especially at a Power 5 program like Michigan. But about after sophomore year, I had a really good year, and then that's kind of when I kind of realization hit, and I was like, oh, okay, I can play at the next level. And but I mean, obviously it's different. The competition is way different, and I realized that right when I got into college as well, like, because I enrolled early.
Right.
That first spring ball, I mean, hit me right in the face, but which was needed though.
Right.
Which got me to where I am today.
So, but your first test, I imagine, was Big Brother, because your big brother was a good athlete too.
Yep.
And I believe he was a senior when you were a freshman. Is that right?
Correct.
So when it was can you remember the first time you beat your big brother at anything, a race, basketball, anything? When you remember that moment?
My brother really, I mean, he taught me a lot of things, and he's always been, like, growing up through high school especially, he's always been, he's beat me at about everything. He taught me everything, so he's beat me in everything. But I'd say probably like freshman year, I feel like I've always been better at a couple things, like golf. I feel like I could beat him in golf, and race, probably couldn't beat him freshman year. Yeah, I don't know. Not a lot of things I could beat him at now. If we were to race, I think I'd win. But
yeah, you got him now, but you
yeah.
have kind of ascended. Like you have broken down a whole lot of doors. We'll talk about guys coming after you in Idaho, because now it's like that's a stop.
Yeah.
I mean, Oregon just went to Idaho last year and got a guy, and now one of the top prospects in the country, arguably the top receiver in the country, is out of Idaho. I think that's in part the attention is from Colston Loveland. Do you kind of feel like that?
Yeah. I mean, shout out to those guys. Those guys are great athletes and people in general. But that's kind of what, like, when I did realize I could play at the next level, that was one of my things, because growing up, like, kids went to college out of my high school, nothing big, like FCS maybe, Idaho State, which is great. But I always wanted, like, oh, how could I put Idaho on the map, and how could I help all these athletes like myself get some exposure? And just having the opportunity to bring in schools coming to Idaho, coaches coming to Idaho, and just showing that there is more than, what they think is in Idaho, and there's athletes, and I mean, as you can see.
No doubt. And I remember talking to Brandon Huffman about you during your high school career, and he said, I've seen it. He said, this is a dude. And as he wrote it, you started seeing more colleges come in. So you got Bama, you got Michigan, you got all of them coming in. I thought that was about you going and getting more exposure on the 7-on-7 circuit. But turns out you didn't do a whole lot of that, right?
No, so it really turned out like, so I got invited to Ford Sports, you know, over there in Washington. Yeah, they invited me to like a 7-on-7 tryout because they got a big 7-on-7 team, and like they go all over the country. But so I wasn't sure if I should go to it or not. And it was like, I think during COVID too, or right before COVID. So, and they were like, trust me, you come here, like it's, like we're gonna get you right. So I ended up going, and that's where I seen Brandon Huffman. He was there and did well at that tryout, and then got interviewed by Brandon Huffman, and then from there, like a week later, got a rating, and then everything started. Yeah, started ramping up from there.
Boom, yeah, because you made the team.
Yeah.
That first time, right?
Yeah.
So you were definitely on the map at that point. But I was talking to your coach, Coach Anderson, about it. Great dude, by the way.
Yeah.
Terrific
Shout out Coach Anderson.
Yeah, he said, listen, it was about the numbers, the work product. He said, you know, yeah, he did some 7-on-7, but that was just to get them to look at the tape.
Yeah.
And when they watched the tape, it was like, man, it was a show. You were mossing everyone over there, right? I mean, that's just how it seemed. Now, he said the other thing that impressed colleges about you is the fact that you never rested on the fact that you were a lot better than a lot of the competition you faced. And he took me into the Weezer game your sophomore year. And he said that's the only time in his career that I saw true and utter disappointment, but it wasn't disappointment in getting down on himself. It was disappointment that would make him drive to take it to the next level. Can you take me through that game?
Yeah. So sophomore year, it was a battle. We were down like the whole game, and then we actually ended up having like a really good game. I think I had like 3 tubs for like almost 200.
He said 250 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah,
to be exact.
whatever it was. But but I did the last play of the game. It was like a post route, and it was an easy catchable ball, 100%, and I dropped the ball to win the game. And then that hurt deep. That stung the heart for sure. And then from there, I mean, as a team, we all knew what we had to do, kind of like what we are now. You know, losing a playoff game, it's like it's tough. And then individually, yeah, I was like, that's where that kind of turning point that really locked in from there. And then, yeah, that essentially brought me to where I am.
Yeah, man. And so the rest, as they say, is history. You're a big-time recruit. You're getting offers from all over the place. But eventually, you turn down Bama, Auburn, all these SEC schools that are coming in, and you said Michigan is where I wanted it to be, where I want to be. What was it about Michigan that kind of set them apart?
Yeah, I mean, first off, the love that they showed, and like always talking to me, always texting, calling. That was the big thing, because I definitely seemed like they wanted me, but they also like needed me. Is what it felt like, and that was different from other schools. And then when I came on my visit in the summer, I think it was the summer before my senior year, loved it here. Like I just felt the culture, like everyone was so close, and from staff, players, everyone. And that's, yeah, like right when I stepped on campus, I committed here before I left, and then, yeah, I knew right away. For sure.
Yeah. And so, again, this is leaving the Pac-12 behind, telling the SEC no, and choosing Michigan. That doesn't mean your recruitment stops, because those schools kept coming.
Yeah.
So I was told that Auburn specifically did not stop.
No.
Auburn kept coming to the point where they're on your doorstep signing day eve, right?
Yeah, they were. I think it was. They pushed pretty hard, because the Boise. So that was the old Boise State staff, Harsin and Coach Bedell and all them. So they were pushing pretty hard. I think they came to my house twice, and then like kept trying to push me to come on a visit, come to the Iron Bowl, actually. So it was either go to the Iron Bowl, OV, or go to Ohio State, Michigan. And it was a tough decision, but I couldn't have missed Michigan, Ohio State, right? And I'm glad I didn't miss it. But no, yeah. And I appreciate all those guys for, believing in me and pursuing me. But yeah, this is the spot, and this is where
So relationships, that was one of the things that, in covering you, I remember talking to you signing day. We talked to you on the live stream, and you talked a lot about your relationship with Jay Harbaugh. and how it was so strong that, yeah, I mean, other schools tried, but they just weren't going to match your bond with him. What about that?
Yeah. Coach Jay, like I said from the jump, always calling, always texting, and he's just like the way, and like when we'd have coach, like he'd coach, and we'd go through film, all that, break down film, and just the way he coached, and like everything about him, his attitude, personality, everything, I just loved, and just like super funny guy too, and like serious as well. So like everything about him, I loved, and then he really got me here. So
yeah, man. And then so, I think at the time that he started recruiting, I'm trying to remember the chronology. I think he was still the tight ends coach at the time.
Yep.
And then he switched. So then you got to get to know Grant. And so what when you got to know him, what was that like?
Yeah. So I obviously knew Coach Newsome because he was a GA.
Right.
So I knew him. I didn't know him great, and then. When I heard he was going to be the tight ends coach, he called me right away and then said, hey, love you, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get this work. I'm going to take care of you. We're going to all that. So, and then ever since then, I mean, especially how young he is, I feel like he's got he knows, he understands how we think, and he was fresh out of it. So I think, and he's doing a tremendous job coaching us and helping us, and I can't say enough about him.
You're an early enrollee. I want to go through that part of your journey before we get to talking about actually playing games, because, man, your vibe. I wonder where your flavor comes from, where your personality comes from, where your vibe comes from, in addition to your ability to come in and compete. I say that because when you came in, and it was like, if there was an adjustment, you really couldn't see it because from the outside, because it was like you fit right in right away. You connected with the guys right away. I mean, Coach was telling me, he said, hey, man, you got to do one like a dance competition in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
Something like, he said he has tape of that too.
He does have tape of that. Yeah.
But where does that confidence, that's the word, where does that confidence come from for you to step from a stage like Idaho to a stage like Michigan and not miss a beat?
Yeah. I mean, that first comes from obviously God, and then my family, and Idaho, like really my community. Like everyone's so blue collar and like works really hard, and I was just always taught just developed in my mind, like you always got to work for everything you want. Can't get complacent, and that's just something that I've stuck with, and what really motivates me is like I can't let my family down. You know what I'm saying? So just knowing that's just what keeps me going.
Yeah, that's it. He sort of likened it to the reason why he mentioned the dance competition. He said you don't see a whole lot of football players doing, but that's confidence.
Yeah.
Right. To be able to step out and do that, and so it reminds me. I forget the kid's name from Idaho who committed to Oregon last year.
Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah. So I remember talking to some of the guys after that visit, and they brought up a moment where he sort of was, you guys visit the stadium, and he was looking down at the field and was like, man, I wonder if this is too big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, again, coming from the same place as you, not to say that, that anything is wrong with saying that, nah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But it was totally different for you, and you were like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. And so that comes from your family.
Yeah, 100%. And that's always like the thing, like playing at the biggest stage, like this is the biggest stage. Who doesn't want to play at the biggest stage in front of the most people at the best competition? Like that's just something that I've always wanted to do, and like I said, comes from the family. That's just how I grew up and how they raised me. And my older brother, big influence, influence of mine.
Hey man, your big brother is supposed to be your first. That's the first adversity you're supposed to face. It's big brother, right? He's supposed to prepare you.
Yeah, beat on you a
little bit to get you ready for that, right? So, I imagine those adversity laden moments with big brother had to come to mind when you're going through your first spring, because it had to be tough.
Yeah.
Right. So take me back through that and the challenges of being an early enrollee, a year ago at this time.
Yeah. I mean, came in January, and the hardest, the first thing was I didn't know the playbook, obviously, right? So that was tough, just going throughout the spring, because the meeting, the first meeting I had, I was my head was spinning. I had no clue what was going on. And so that was tough, like, because I couldn't really go, like, I couldn't play as fast as I wanted to because I was always thinking, oh, what do I got to do here? What do I got to do here? So, and then towards the end of my first spring is when I started getting the hang of everything and then getting going, and then moving into camp, and that's where everything started ramping up, and I knew the playbook. So once I knew the playbook, that's when I could start playing fast, figuring out, different releases, all that. So
was that the primary challenge for you, the playbook, not being away from home, not the size of the guys or the speed of the game? It was just the playbook primarily?
Yeah, the size and speed was, like, I got beat up pretty good too my first spring ball, obviously. So, like, everything was different, and being away from home, that was tough too, because for the first couple weeks especially, because we had friends, obviously, the teammates and everything, but I didn't make and meet those guys really get to know those guys until a couple months in. So not having friends, it was like, oh, okay, I'm missing home. But now, I miss those guys, but everything's good now,
Yeah, everything's good. You're home now.
So this is home, yeah.
One of the things that is different for guys as you enter now, and you guys were kind of on the first wave of this, is you come in the NIL era. So you hit the door. What was your experience like? Did you, because you're a high profile recruit coming in.
Yeah.
Did you have NIL opportunities out the gate? Did you have to go find them yourself, or did you have people finding them for you? What was your NIL experience like, as you got here?
Yeah. I actually didn't have, like, I wasn't really involved with NIL at all, especially before I got here at all, and when I got here, not really, because I was a high recruit, but I still was underrated. Like, I wasn't really
right.
like, no one was reaching out, offering deals like that. So, but, like, everyone always told me, like, and at Michigan especially, like, when I had the meeting, when I was on my visit, and we had, like, the NIL meeting, they're like, Coach Harbaugh was like, if you produce, you'll get NIL, you know what I'm saying? Deals will start coming. So that's just like, I can't expect deals if I haven't stepped on the field yet. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of what I just had to produce in order to get NIL and get what I wanted. So
So you did produce.
Yeah.
And NIL deals did start coming. Then you have to start thinking about, what do I do with this money? How do I manage this money? Right? And so I know you have resources. You've been able to connect with different resources around town, like Morgan Stanley, for instance. And so I'm curious, as you have delved deeper into that, what have been your biggest takeaways from, now that the money is coming in, what to do with it? How do you handle it?
Yeah. It's definitely overwhelming, and it's something you need to think about. And Morgan Stanley's the perfect. Talking about, like, LLCs, Roth IRA, all that, and stuff that planning for the future, really. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I wasn't into, but I need to start getting into. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you have an LLC now, right? So you get an LLC and have your, route your earnings, your advertising earnings in an LLC, and kind of separate that from you, the individual. That's a way to obviously protect your income, protect yourself.
Yeah.
Right. These are some of the lessons that you hope a lot of guys are getting in NIL. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like a lot of them are.
Yeah, and that's one thing, like, about here in Michigan and with Morgan Stanley and all these resources is, like, I think as a university we're probably on the top of the tier list of, like, knowing all these resources and knowing about LLC and all that, just because I'm sure there's, and I could be wrong, but I'm sure there's kids at other universities that are kind of lost with their money right now, and that can be scary, especially, like, with taxes and all that. So
yeah, man, they're definitely This was a tough month for a lot of young guys who were not preparing as well as some of you guys were. But that was, you keep the main thing, which is playing on the field, right? So you have a good spring to the point where you're in consideration to go into the fall being on a depth chart. Talking to all the coaches and players are like, man, this dude, he's ready to block. He certainly can catch the football. Let's see how he handles the stage. So you start playing. When did you get the feeling like, yeah, I'm gonna be on the field?
It was probably when Eric went down, Eric All, he went down, And that was when I was like, because I mean those were two studs in front of me,
Right.
him and Schoon. So I was really coming in thinking, okay, I might not play a ton, but I'm going to learn a bunch from these guys, have a great learning year, and be set up for next year. And then he went down, and then I was like, oh, like we run a lot of 12 personnel, 13 personnel,
Right.
so I'll definitely have a chance to see the field for sure. I just got to take that chance, And then I think I got my like first significant snaps probably Penn State, Michigan State, maybe whatever game that was, and then from there, I was like, okay, I can play here.
So your most challenging moment, because we're going to get to the highs. You had some highs, some big time highs, right? But what was the most challenging moment of the season? Sort of liken it to the Weezer game where you said, hey, you know what? You couldn't even remember your stats, but you remembered to drop, right? So what about your freshman year? Is there a moment like that kind of stands out to you?
Yeah, it was the Indiana game, and that was one of like the first games that I was like told to, I'm going to take a bigger role here. I'm going to play more snaps, and things were going good, and then I ran the wrong route on the play. I knew I ran the wrong route on the play, and then ran off to the sideline, got told about it, and then eventually sat for the rest of the game, which was understandable, 100%. But that was probably that was really what locked me in from there on, for sure.
So was that who told you about it? Was it Coach Harbaugh? Was it Coach Newsome?
Yeah, both.
Both?
Yeah.
That's how that goes.
Yeah,
right?
no, and that's how it is. Like,
Yeah.
it's not high school. You can't, one messed up play, and no, you can't mess up plays. That's the biggest thing. Like, missed assignments is probably the biggest.
How did you shake it off? I mean, you're a confident guy, but did you need some counseling from your teammates to shake it off?
Yeah. I mean, my teammates were right there with me, and they were on my side the whole time, just saying, things like this happen. You just got to bounce back. It's all about how you can bounce back. And luckily, like having those guys and my family, like the love and from everyone in the program and back home, that was enough for me to keep my head on straight and know that I.
So you mentioned the Michigan State game. I don't know how much, if anything, you knew about Michigan State before you were actually in the game.
Yeah.
Once you got in the game, what did you figure out about that rivalry?
Yeah, I always knew like Michigan State. That's a big time rivalry. But yeah, I mean playing in the game's totally different. A lot of trash talking. I mean everyone's fighting, everyone's playing their best ball. So, but yeah, that was a crazy game. I think I had a pretty good amount of snaps that game too, which was cool. And then, yeah.
You a trash talker?
I don't. If someone starts it, I'll definitely talk trash, but I don't, not necessarily, no.
But in that game, were you a trash talker?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But I can only trash talk if I do something, so.
Right, I hear you. So kind of compare, because we're going to talk about Ohio State. Compare those two games, because that, obviously, Ohio State is a much bigger, much more, noticed. I mean, it's considered the best rivalry in all of sports to some people. So is it different? Is it the same? How is it different? How is it the same, those two games?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like overall it's the same. I mean, you're playing a game no matter what, right? But and they're both bringing everything they got, so it's the same in that aspect. But playing at home and then playing at the shoe is crazy difference, right? Like, no, there was like 0 Michigan fans at O State just because there's, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But no, I'd say it's all the same thing. It's all everyone's going to bring 100%, and just got to be locked in.
So if from the standpoint of trash talk or extracurriculars, were those the same amount of trash talk, same amount of after the whistle kind of stuff in both games?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, for sure. Until we run the score up, and then they can't really do much. You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
which happened in both games, coincidentally, right?
Yeah.
So your first Michigan-Ohio State game. This is when we start getting to the highs, right? Heading into that first game, what were you feeling? What were you thinking? I know you had been told what the game was about, but take me into your personal experience heading into that game.
Yeah, all right. So, I mean, Sunday of that week, it's just a different week. You know what I'm saying? Everything's locked in already, but it's even more locked in because really like making sure everything's on point, routes, walkthroughs, all that, and then leading into the game, like the feeling of that game, like walking out to the shoe and like headphones on, just trying to block everything out. It was crazy. Yeah, unforgettable experience for sure.
Take me into your touchdown.
Oh yeah, so what was that? Coming out of half, down, I think we were down, and it was a juicy play too. It was yeah, I mean, ran the corner, whatever it was, and
a dude fell down, didn't he?
No, I don't know if he fell down, but there was a lot of separation, and I knew I had a bunch of separation, and all I was thinking was like, all right, I just got to catch the ball, right? I just got to catch the ball. Beautiful ball too. Shout out JJ, and yeah, as soon as it didn't even feel real, you know. I don't even really remember it because it's just kind of like blacked out, just playing ball. But yeah, caught it, and then next thing I was thinking after that was just gotta score, right? Gotta score, and then yeah, scored, and then just the biggest thing was like the love from the teammates too. That was like love those guys forever, just for the support they had, and like they were just as excited as I was. So like. Yeah, that was an awesome experience.
Yeah, it was a hell of a way to come out of the locker room.
Yeah.
Right, so
100%.
what do you remember about that halftime? Because like you said, you guys were down, you were in their place. Yeah. But every guy that's come through here, we talked to your roommate, Will Johnson, he was like, man, you wouldn't believe how calm we were in the locker room.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of like throughout the whole season, it's never like, they're like, oh, what halftime adjustments did they make? Or it's like, we all know what's going on. Like, we all know what we need to do, just keep playing our ball. And we just got to play better, and that's really all it was. Like we weren't freaking out in the locker room at halftime. Like I think we got ball too after or second half. So just get the ball, go score, get a stop, go score. Let's just play our ball.
Yeah, and you did. And you know, crazy thing to think, you was a freshman impacting that game. Your roommate on the other side impacted the game on the other side. I mean, I don't even know if you can in your conversations with one another draw it up as well as it turned out. You guys had to be talking about how you were going to do in that game. And whatever you said, it feels like to me what you actually did was better than that.
Yeah, I didn't expect to get a touchdown, that's for sure. And Will, I mean, did a great job on the other side of the ball, locking up 18. And yeah, I mean, I don't think either of us could have guessed it really, but I'm just glad we were trusted and had the opportunity to.
Do you remember when you knew you were going to win? Like, when did you know you were going to win?
I mean, Donovan's first long run, that was like, okay. And then after the second one, I was like, all right, this game's wraps.
So did they go ahead.
No, but like Ohio State, they could score quick too. So like you never really, you know what I'm saying? It was never really over till it was over.
So did the trash talk, was that ever over, or did they, no matter how much they were down, did they?
No, after the second touchdown, even the first, you could even see like just they were out of it, and they weren't really talking trash after that.
All right, so it'd be very easy at that point to feel like this is it, we got it.
Yeah.
But you guys went into the Big Ten championship game very businesslike, and you were obviously one of the big-time tone setters in that game. So take me into that touchdown and that play.
That was cool too. It was just I think it was just like a wheel route, and then didn't have much separation at all. But JJ just again trusted me, and he put a great ball exactly where it needed to be, where I could only get it. And then because I think the safety tried to come over at the end, right? Yeah.
And so you end up doing what you were doing back in Idaho.
Throw it up.
Throw it up, make it happen, right?
Yeah.
Which you did. So, again, you're riding really high. What do you remember about preparation for the playoff game? Was it any different from your preparation from 4 games earlier in the season?
No. Same thing, really, just more walkthroughs, less banging at practice, just because, you know, a lot of people are beat up towards the end of the season. We're just trying to stay healthy, lock in mentally on everything. And that's, really the same thing. Like, we didn't change up anything, really. But we knew what we had to do. Unfortunately, didn't do it, but, yeah.
So coming out of that game, because I'll say it so you don't, I feel like you guys were the better team. credit to them for winning.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was the mistakes you made more than them beating you. Again, no disrespect intended to them.
Yeah.
When you come off a game like that and you're going through winter conditioning and spring ball, how does that impact you guys as a team? How does it impact your preparation? Does it change your focus? Does it sharpen your focus? What impact do you think that game had on you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely sharpens. Like, we came in winter just like it was just one big season, you know, like we got to roll right back into it, like no breaks, keep the foot on the pedal. And we all knew that. Like, we all knew, like, we can't let this happen again. So we got to really lock in, do even more than we did. And yeah, everyone's on the same page with that. So
yeah, and so you get into, this is a different spring. I mean, it has to be night and day compared to last year's spring ball.
Yeah, crazy. It was, now I know the playbook, so that, I mean, now I just really could work on my game and everything I need to, new things I can learn and add to my game for.
And it's not just that you know the playbook, you're the guy.
Yeah.
Like you're, I mean, there are guys who have been in the program longer than you, but you're the guy. And so the weight of that, is it weight? Like, how does that impact you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say it is weight, but it doesn't feel any different. It's, you know I got to step up even more now. I got a bigger role to play, so, and I'm ready for that. And, yeah, and then I think I just can't wait to get it going for real.
So where are you, other than you know the playbook, and you have some experience, where are you different? How are you different? Where are you better compared to the start of your freshman year?
Yeah, I mean, in all aspects, route running, faster, stronger, blocking as well, technique in the run game, everything is, as a whole, my whole game is just keeps increasing, and hopefully it keeps increasing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so you got to block,
right?
Got to
block, yeah.
You got to block that. What was the tougher adjustment for you? Was it the blocking, or was it the route running, the pass catching part of it?
Definitely blocking, yeah, because I blocked a little bit in high school, but I wasn't really blocking a whole lot, and they're way smaller, obviously, than some of these DNs. And,
right.
But, yeah, it was like at first spring ball, it was tough, like I said.
Yeah.
And because everyone's good, and they're going to win reps too, obviously, because good athletes here. But, yeah, and my blocking's gotten so much better from then, and I still need to improve way more on it, and it's going to keep improving for sure.
Yeah, and look, now, I mean, you talk about security blankets. Tight end is always looked at as the quarterbacks. You know, that's his comfort zone, right? And so you and JJ, man, I mean, what's that bond, that vibe like? How much extra work do you do your own throwing sessions? Like, what's that connection like with JJ?
Yeah. So last spring he wasn't even able to play last spring. So that's another thing, is like having this off season with him and building the chemistry, like with the receivers, tight ends, everyone. That's huge. So, and we're having throwing sessions and just locking in timing, everything, and I can't wait. Like, we got so much time to work on that compared to last year with him. Right. So it's gonna be crazy.
So tight end room now. I mentioned you're the guy because obviously Eric is on to Iowa, Scooney's on to the NFL. You got some other guys in the room that are ready to step up, and you got a transfer that came in from Indiana. So take me into the rest of the guys kind of sitting next to you in the tight end room.
Yeah, I mean, transfer AJ, great guy, great addition to the tight end room, great athlete as well, and he's going to help us crazy this year. And then Matthew Hibner, he's another one. Yeah, he's a freak.
Who's faster, you or Matthew?
Hibby. Yeah, he's like, yeah, he's a freak. Yeah, he's huge too. He can lift a bunch. Yeah, he's and then Max Bredesen. He's also, I mean, he's been doing his thing since last spring. And then Zach Marshall, he's an incoming freshman. Yeah, he's doing a great. He knew the playbook like 2 weeks in, like super smart, locked in on everything. So he's going to do a great job. And then
Marlon Klein.
Marlon's been doing a great job too. He's freaky athletic, crazy athlete, and yeah, I mean, as a tight end room as a whole, we're all just so close, and everyone's personalities fit each other, and it's just, yeah, I wouldn't want anyone else in there.
Yeah, man, watching the spring game, well, I think we might have saw you for a series. That was a sign that, okay, we know what we know
Yeah.
we know what Colston can do. Let's see what some of these other guys can do. And Matthew Hickman, were it not for the turf monster,
Yeah,
he has the biggest play of the spring game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the dude has some different
wheels.
speed.
Yeah, no, I'm glad he could display it too, because like, and he'd even tell you the same thing. Like, I feel like no one really knows he's that fast, but he got the opportunity to display that, which is huge.
So I'm always interested in hearing the perspective of players, what they see in practice, not in themselves, but elsewhere, what they see, offense, defense, other players that are stepping up. Without saying everyone, because I know everyone improves in the spring.
Yeah.
Who kind of jumped out at you as maybe some players that, man, okay, they look like they're ready to step their game up next fall?
One of them, I think you guys even would know, is Peyton O'Leary. Yeah, I mean, but he's been doing this thing since like last spring, last camp. But he was making plays this spring, and we seen it in the spring game. But he's going to take a big step, and he's gonna help us win games for sure in the fall. And then I'm trying to think who else
I know you're looking at the defense from. You see them every play. Who kind of jumped out at you on defense?
I would say Jay Harbaugh. He did his thing last year too, but like this spring he's getting even better, and like blocking him is tough. He's got a bunch of different moves in the pass game as well too, so he's really stepping up even more, and he's gonna have a really good fall as well.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting. And the young guys. So you mentioned Zach.
Yep.
You got a chance to see him a lot. What about those other young receivers? Did you?
Oh yeah, those guys as well. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Like Samaj, Fred, those guys are studs. Yeah, really good. Samaj is twitchy, super twitchy, like great slot receiver. And then Fred, he's crazy speed. He could snap it down crazy too. Yeah, those guys. Seeing those guys work this spring was super cool, and they're gonna help this team crazy amount.
You know, you guys lose a couple of guys to the NFL draft, but you get a lot back on the offensive line. You get both your tailbacks back, right? You see some other guys stepping up. You're still going to run that rock.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, is there a next gear or next level for this offense? I mean, if you were just what you were last year, that's good enough to be a playoff team. Maybe even a championship team if you play your game against TCU. But is there something different? Is there something more in store for the Michigan offense?
Yeah, I mean, had a great O-line last year, obviously, right? And we got all these transfers to this year. Our O-line could exceed last year's O-line. It could. And so, I mean, running the rock, obviously, is going to be huge. But pass game as well, like I said, having JJ this whole offseason and, like, really building the chemistry and open up the playbook a little bit, too. Like, the end of last year, we seen that, slinging the ball a little bit more. And I think we're just going to keep adding little things to our game as a whole, and then I think you'll see a little different. Not obviously it's Michigan football, but you'll see there'll be some explosiveness.
So we'll wrap things up, kind of talking about your conversations with your roommate again. You know, they're talking about Will preseason All Big Ten, if not preseason All American. You're getting some of the same kind of buzz. Do you tune that out? I mean, does that just noise to you? Or do you listen to it? Like, how does that hit you when you hear people talking about Colston Loveland like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all cool and like blessed for people to be talking about me in that way. But at the end of the day, it is all noise, and I mean, we won't know till we play the season how we play, you know. And, we try to block it out and really just focus on the team and what we have going on at the program, because everything outside is really just outside noise, and if it doesn't benefit the team, then probably shouldn't be.
Right. All right. Speaking of benefiting the team, without saying names, I don't know what the new recruiting rules might be, but you've been in position to talk to guys from Idaho the last couple of years about your experience, and it seems like as the years have progressed, the amount of attention on those guys, I won't say talent because you're really talented too, but it's on a different scale, man. There's another guy coming down the pipeline who it just feels like, I mean, the world is interested in him. What kind of advice have you offered those guys as they go through the recruiting process about how you went through it and what they can take away from your experience?
Yeah, I really just tell them, like, fit in, like, definitely go somewhere where you feel loved the most, obviously, and they really want you the most. And I tell those guys all the time, like, hit me up if you got any questions about anything or need any advice. And so far they've handled it pretty well on their own, I think. And Gatlin, I've been hitting him up, you know, seeing what he's on. But no, I'm hoping we can get some other Idaho kids to Michigan.
Hey man, listen, it's a different. You can't put it this way. We can't be talking about Idaho being the small stage anymore.
Yeah.
We can't be talking like that anymore. Not when the fastest high school dude, maybe in the world, is from Idaho. And like I said, I think it started with Colston Loveland. So, off-season preparation, what's that like for you? And then you're hitting the links a little bit these days too, right?
Yep. Off-season, you know, just keep grinding, keep my nose in the playbook. Just work on my individual game and timing, like I said, with JJ and all that. And then, I've got to have a little fun on the course as well. I golf a lot. I'm not a great golfer, but I do it for fun. And
who's better, you or Will?
I'm gonna say me. I think he'd tell you the same thing.
Well, they say the dude can swing the sticks a little bit.
Yeah, we've been going quite a bit, and I mean, we're just working on our game, just trying to get better.
Both of these guys are going to be part of Wolverine Weekend up at Grand Traverse Resort, May 9th through 11th. So that'll be a lot of fun, a great chance for Michigan fans to interact with these young men. And it's an NIL opportunity for them as well. I know a lot of fans wonder about how can you support the players NIL-wise. That is a great way to do so over at grandtraverseresort.com. It'll be Colston, it'll be Will Johnson, Donovan Edwards is part of this year's cast, and Junior Colson. Yeah. So it is a big-time cast, and we're going to go through some plays. We might pull up that Purdue touchdown. We probably pull up that Ohio State touchdown and break them down and have them tell us what they were or what Colston was seeing on those plays. So, again, that's the 9th through 11th. You get more information at grandtraverseresort.com. But, Colston, I'd be remiss if closing this out, if I didn't do it with you, what I'd do with all the guys, and let's talk about your circle, man, your support system. You know, from your family to your coach. I mean, that's your village is strong.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I got a nice tight circle right now with great support and great endless love from, like you said, family, coaches, teammates, and going to back with what I said earlier, like it's just we like to keep everything in the program, keep everything in our circle, because at the end of the day, if it doesn't benefit us, then we shouldn't be talking about it. So
yeah. Coach Anderson, man, he has some stories on him. And he said, just remind you, he said, tell him that if he ever gets out of line, I'm gonna release the tape from his dance competition.
From the dance.
What dance did you do? What song did you dance to?
I think it was like it was when it was like a 21 Savage song when he came out with like that bank account song. I think it was that one. I think I'd have to see the video again though. I haven't seen it in a while.
Man. Maybe when you go to the NFL, man, maybe that'll be a part of the reel that they show. So, Colston, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming out. Good luck this season, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks at Wolverine Weekend.
Sounds good. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks a lot. Folks, another edition of Behind the Uniform in the books. If you like these videos, be sure to like the videos, subscribe to the channel. That way you'll keep us going and growing. Always follow us over on the MichiganInsider.com. $1 gets you in your first month. That's where you get all the information on football, basketball, and recruiting. Of course, if you're listening to us on the podcast, like that channel, subscribe to it, tell all your friends about it. They can get it on Google, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, you name it. They'll be able to find it. Until the next time, thanks for watching another edition of Behind the Uniform.